Hi guys, we are back for some lovely spicy action of Mr. Raccoon. We are going to be reacting to Mr. Zigzagoon's Pokemon podcast. So let's get to it, shall we? Okay, so hopefully my mic is working perfect because I changed it. No, I didn't really change it. I just found out brand new settings on OBS. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty rad. This is pretty cool. So, yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of proud of myself for finding these settings. So let's get to it, shall we? Zigzagoon found Groudon at the beach. Okay, that's a bit strange.
Hey, I'm Mr. Zigzagoon, and this is my...
where every voice, every journey, and every memory brings us closer to the world of Pokemon. I'm David Hernandez, and I'm joined by a longtime Pokemon fan who's been sharing their passion since 2015 as a collector, a creator, and a community bender behind Mr. Zigzagoon. Mr. Zigzagoon, welcome to Ask the Pokeball Turns.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hi Mike. Welcome to the stream, my dude. Good evening, Satoshi. Will you do Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire? Yeah, that's on my list to do at some point for like an emulator or something like that. Probably, like each of the like spin-off games, I would do it as some type of special or something like that. But it depends on what people vote for. When it comes to like what games I play for the next region or the next generation.
And for me, I love Gen 3. That's one of my favorite generations. And I saw your name. I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody named themselves after Mr. Zigzagoon. And I kind of wanted to know the story of why Mr. Zigzagoon. Where's the inspiration behind that name?
Okay, so, yeah, like you said, Gen 3, it is a favorite generation of mine as well. Back in 2015, I made a friend in another Pokemon group. He was from Singapore, and we started chatting and stuff. We'd trade Pokemon, all that, you know, in the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire days. So he got this idea one day. He was like, hey, we should make a Pokemon group. And I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's going to be a lot of work. And he was like, that's fine. We'll do it anyway. And so he made the group, and he made me an admin immediately. I was like, all right, I guess I'm in it now. So, yeah, I just got to work right away. And we decided to do, like, admin tags, kind of like a lot of people in Pokemon groups did back then. Like a Pokemon that represents them. At first, I was going to go with, like, Groudon or Tyranitar, because I was like, yeah, those are awesome, right, you know? But then I thought about it a little more, and I was like, you know what, though? I was like, Zigzagoon, he's kind of the GOAT of Gen 3 in a way, you know? I think, like...
By GOAT, he means a HM slave, which is kind of true. I do like having Zigzagoon on my team. From back in, like, Generation 3, Pokemon Emerald was my first ever game, and I did love having Zigzagoon on my team. He's just a jack of all trades. He knows so many HMs, especially when he does evolve. As well as his pickup ability was Chef Kiss on top of that. Steven with Mega Metagross was badass. I do agree. The Mega Metagross was a badass, like, Mega Evolution. Especially for Generation 3. I mean, for Generation 3, the Mega Evolutions for that gen, they all slap. I'm not going to lie. All the starters, Mega Forms, Chef Kiss.
That would be a little funnier and a little more unique. So, I chose Zigzagoon.
Well, I guess what made Zigzagoon the GOAT for you in Gen 3?
So, obviously, he he clears with his HMs, you know, like he's the
Agreed.
guy that you need for that. And his pickup ability is just, you know, super
See, I
helpful
did
throughout
mention
the game.
it. The pickup
Yeah, especially,
ability.
I love the Ruby and Sapphire one specifically because they didn't have the limitations that Emerald introduced. So you could get like rare candies, you can get like nuggets at like level 2 or 3.
Oh yeah, it was like a huge help. You know, you get a nugget early game, that's $5,000 immediately.
Exactly. Like how game changing
Exactly.
very broken, but how game changing was that? And plus I love Zigzagoon and its evolution. I think they say Linoon is how it's called. They're just
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't know, I prefer them over Sentret for some reason. I just always found them adorable.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like a raccoon-based Pokemon?
Now, I wanted to ask, since you touched on how this page started in 2015, and I want to know, like, was there ever any moment that made you think, yeah, I really love being a part of this Pokemon community?
Yeah, what I did, I actually used like Power Save back in the day. I did like giveaways. I do them like every single day to the point where I burned myself out after like, 6 months of doing this straight.
Oh, jeez, yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, but a lot of people came and showed support, and I just felt nice to like give something nice to people. The page itself, it's a funny story about the page. I actually made it to be kind of a part of the group in a way. I want to list the group as like my occupation on Facebook, even though I had a full-time job. So the page wasn't really active, and it was just a means to do that. And I even like put it in the page, so like, this won't be active, just so I can list this as my occupation. Well, people just started liking the page anyway, and before I knew it, there were like hundreds of people already, had liked the page. So, yeah, later on, I decided to utilize it and turned it into what it is now, so.
Now, my last question just in regards to the early starts before we dive into.
You know what's so great about that? Is back then when you made a random page in general, and you don't advertise it, you don't put it anywhere, and people just instantly start following you out of nowhere. And you do wonder to yourself, how the hell is this possible? Where do people even find me? Well, it was the Facebook, like them promoting your page or something, or from other pages, or they put your post on their timeline. But yeah, it's kind of funny seeing that, to be honest with you. That's what I did like about the olden days of Facebook. Because nowadays, when you make a new page, then you just like start posting, it doesn't gain hardly any attraction unless if a bigger page or community starts seeing your posts and they start sharing it around. Compared to back then, when you're a brand new page, you can passively grow. Compared to like now, which is 10 times harder. Every time I play any of the Gen 3, I invest all my Pokeballs and catch at least 3 Zigzagoon. In the process, I have Ultra Balls, Great Balls, Hyper Potions without a single badge. Pickup ability is legendary. I know, right? It is legendary. It's one of the best abilities in the game. Where you could just get like any random item and you could just keep it, and it's either save you money or you make more money from it, since you could just sell that off, or like any of the items in general. But yeah, I do like having Zigzagoon on my team. Not 3 Zigzagoons, just a single one will do me good. And like just carry him onto the like Elite 4 / champion. As just a normal Zigzagoon, or I just level him up and evolve him. I don't know, it depends on what playthrough I'm on.
To your experience with Pokemon. Because you said your friend started the group anyway, even against your own wishes, saying it was going to be too much work, right?
Yeah.
What made you decide to still say yes to being a mod? Because you could have just easily said, you did this, but I'm not going to be involved. Even though you were hesitant to begin with,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I felt like it was kind of a...
It was your
duty to my
calling.
friend. I was like, he seems pretty passionate about it, so I'll give it a shot. And I think as soon as I started working on it, I kind of fell in love with it immediately, even though traction wasn't great at first. Mm-hmm. But I knew it was like anything that you build from the ground up. You just kind of got to work at it, and,
Exactly.
if you keep going, people will come. And that's exactly what happened.
You're also very patient because, A, for your friend to still stick with him, but B, like
Yeah.
you put it beautifully to where sometimes the traction's not immediate, and a lot of people really want that immediate satisfaction. But you kind of saw the, I'll say, growth of starting something fresh, and you were willing to kind of stick with it.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of perseverance if you're doing any sort of like content, anything like that. And I think a lot of people get discouraged very quickly, and it can be discouraging. I actually put up a post, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago about mental health in this space and how, it can be very discouraging. It can take a toll on your mental health when you put out content every day, and sometimes you don't see the results you like, and it can hurt.
Now, I want to shift gears real quick. We'll come.
Yeah, with the mental health aspects of posting every day, I do agree with that. Especially when your post doesn't gain as much of like attraction in general. If you're a small page, then it's like 10 times harder because it does play a massive impact on the mental mind. Especially when you don't see like one single reaction on your post. While as a big page, if for example you're like 10k plus or even 100k or 200k, if you see your post generating, let's say, less than 20 reactions, you feel like your like overall post ain't gaining that much attraction or basically any attention from any of the followers on your page, unless if you upload like slop. By slop I mean in like the Matrix memes, like the red and blue pill meme, and the people have to react either to the like or to the heart emoji. So those posts tend to gain a lot of attraction when it comes to this platform, which is kind of lazy content. Speaking by a fellow slopper like myself, but for my page, I tend to try to post random stuff that I could find on either on other pages or online like Twitter, Instagram, or even YouTube in general, compared to just making the Matrix meme. If I wanted to, I could make the Matrix meme so my page could be fully active and pop off. Then me seeing like my posts generating less than 10 reactions or 20 reactions. For me personally, I don't really care about that. I only care about people following me in general, as well as the amount of support I've been getting over the past few months or even like the past few years. But yeah, I do understand when it comes to the mental health aspects of when it comes to posting. But the thing is with like some pages, they post every like one post every few days or one post every week, and they expect people to hold their hand, as well as they expect people to share them, and they're not putting in the work to try and put themselves out there. Like if you're posting multiple times a day, so let's say if you're a brand new page and you're just starting out, if you post let's say 5 times a day and you make it as that habit of posting 5 times a day, then the gods of Facebook might bless you by just popping your Facebook post on the timeline, then boom, it blows up. That's why I encourage like smaller pages that upload multiple times during the day, because you don't know if one of your posts might blow up or not. Like you could be completely it could be completely random to what type of post it is. Like for example, on my other page, which was a 5k at the time, I posted something random and the next day it blows up by 5k reactions. And it's only a 5k page. So you never know. The gods of Facebook might bless you with one of the posts that you do upload. So I would encourage any smaller pages not to be disencouraged and just keep on posting multiple times a day, because you never know when Facebook might blow your page up on any of your posts. So yeah, I do agree with the mental health, but at the same time, people need to put in the work and the effort to try like grow in general. Although that's speaking from someone that has 50k on my page, but I do know the struggle of growing your page in general, because I've been there from like a decade ago when I had over 20 plus pages spanning from footballers or actors or Naruto, Bleach, or even One Piece pages that I had back then. And I do know the struggle of growing them. But yeah, I do agree.
Back to the Mr. Zigzagoon page, but I want to talk about your experience with Pokemon and know, where did this all start? Where did your experience with Pokemon first begin?
So, whenever it hit the US back in, I guess it was 98, I was in 3rd grade. And when it first started becoming very popular, I actually was kind of I guess a contrarian at first. I was like, it's just a bunch of dumb animals. I was like, this is silly,
Right.
But pretty soon, I got my hands on like my first Pokemon cards, and I fell in love. I just flip flopped immediately. So yeah, I started collecting the cards, and it wasn't long after I got my very first Game Boy Pocket with a copy of Pokemon Red, and it was
Game
on
Boy
from there.
Pocket.
Are you like me, like in a different time zone? Because that's how I first started, to where Pokemon came out. I'm like, why would you like this stuff? Like, what's the appeal behind it? And I hated Pokemon. That's always been something I've said. And I'm like, wait, this sounds very familiar. Are you sure you're not me in a different world?
Probably. I'm not gonna lie. I have this tendency toward a lot of things that become like super popular, and I try really, really hard not to be like that, because there's been things just like that, and I've given it a fair shake. Eventually, I'm like, this is actually pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. There's just some sort of like predetermined thing within me that wants to dislike things that are super popular, but sometimes.
With me, when it comes to Pokemon, as I mentioned earlier on the stream, my first Pokemon game was Pokemon Emerald, and I didn't know anything about Pokemon at all. So Pokemon Emerald kind of introduced me to the whole idea of the Pokemon anime, as well as the future games, and I fell in love with Pokemon ever since. And yeah, with some people, especially with me, when it comes to like mainstream stuff, in terms of like media, like games or even movies or TV shows, I tend not to watch them or interact with them because people just blow them out of the window for the sake of blowing them out of the window. So I do kind of agree with Mr. Zigzagoon's point right there by disliking them.
Sometimes they're popular for a reason.
At first,
after you changed your mind is because of the cards. Do you remember like what it was about the Pokemon card specifically that kind of changed your mind?
I don't know. I think the fact that it was like something you could do with your friends and stuff, you could trade them and collect them together and all, like, it's definitely very appealing, even now, even though I don't get to do that with friends very much these days. I mean, it's like the community aspect, kind of like just with the pages and groups and stuff, like, I really enjoy the community aspect of Pokemon. It's kind of a magical thing,
Now, you said you eventually jumped into Pokemon Red. Do you remember what your first experience playing those games were like?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I played it a ton. So Bulbasaur was my very first starter.
Yeah, let's go. Okay.
Disgusting.
Yes, and if I could choose them again, I would, like, I've always loved Bulbasaur. I ended up naming it Root after the Venusaur that was on the first movie. I had a friend on the bus. He was actually quite a bit older than I was. He may have been in middle school or high school. I can't remember which. But he'd sit with me, and we'd play the Game Boy games together, and he was
That's
like
wholesome.
a super big help. He'd like let me borrow his strategy guides and stuff, and he'd like trade me cool Pokemon. He had a Game Shark. He like got me a Mew.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah.
That is
And
wholesome.
same with the cards. He'd help me out. I was just a kid, and he knew that. And he'd like give me free stuff. He's super nice.
It sounded like this friend had a huge influence on you. Like, I know they're old. He was older, but I mean, the fact that he let you even borrow the game guides, he gave you a Mew, which I know it's a Game Shark, and I mean, I used it too. So sure, but it's still like you didn't.
It was
have
hard
to
to
do
get
it.
Mew back then.
Yeah, even if it's a Game Shark,
You had
it's
to, like,
support
travel to New
that
York City or
counts.
something like
Right.
that. When you look back on that, what does it mean to be trusted with something like a Mew from him? Did that kind of leave an imprint on you?
Yeah, I'd say it did, even if, like, I didn't really know it at the time, I was maybe too young to really realize it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just that act of kindness like that, I do go back and think about it every now and then just because it's like, I guess it was my first experience with Pokemon where someone was showing me a great amount of kindness through the franchise, and it's been really nice to, like, kind of give back, in the future, whenever I could do, like, the groups and the pages and stuff. I try to engage with people as much as I can. I try to be as kind as I can.
Do you think that, I guess, that initial action that he gave you, of the Mew and the strategy guides kind of influenced what you do nowadays within the Pokemon community?
Yeah, a little bit, especially. Yeah, I don't do the giveaways with, like, power save and stuff anymore.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I really enjoyed doing that whenever I did do that. It felt very much like the same thing, but on a much larger scale, because I was, giving away like hundreds of Pokemon.
Like I said, you're doing it for 6 months straight. I'm impressed by how long that went. So clearly you were passionate about doing that kind of side of Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, did you continue with Pokemon after Gen 1, or like what does that journey look like afterwards?
So yeah, whenever Gen 2 came out, I got Silver, and I played that. I was a huge fan of Lugia, so yeah, that was only natural. And then whenever Gen 3 came around, my like interest in Pokemon was starting to wane a little bit. And funny enough, I saw a promotional poster for Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, and I saw Groudon on there, and I was like, dude, that thing looks sick. I was like, I need that.
I agree.
We went on our family
Groudon
vacation to
is
the
sick.
beach, and I got like a little chunk of money that I could use while we were on vacation, and I used like a big chunk of it to buy Pokemon Ruby while we were there.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And like, at night whenever, we were like back from the beach and just chilling out after dinner, I'd be playing Pokemon Ruby, and I was like hooked, and they made a lot of like great changes in Gen 3, that really improved Pokemon, I think. And I continued playing Gen 3 for many years after that, even though I didn't like buy Gen 4 back then and everything. I was even into my like early mid-20s still playing the original Gen 3 games.
That's such, I guess, a powerful start to Gen 3, because you're at the beach, which is where Hoenn's kind of based off of, especially after you get past the Rustboro City part and you're riding the boat and everything. That's such a cool tie-in to have. And I don't know how far you got into the game, but if you made that far to even catch Groudon, I mean, you kind of had the whole Hoenn experience 4D and ahead of its time, if that makes sense.
It's so funny you mentioned that. I actually never like connected those dots like that.
Oh, welcome to As the Pokeball
cool.
Turns. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely like a tropical region, and I was at the beach. Huh. Yeah, I don't remember exactly how far it got, but I was playing a lot, so I think I at least made it probably halfway through the game or more while we were, on vacation that week.
Well, let me ask you this. So what do you think it is about Gen 3 specifically that, compared to the other generations, or at least 1 and 2, that kept you hooked and kept you playing the game even into Gen 4 and beyond?
Like I said, I feel like they made a lot of upgrades. The graphics were, I guess, nothing crazy if you really think about it, but they just felt so much
it was
fresher.
better than Gold
The
and
introduction of double
Silver,
battles was
in a
like
way.
super exciting to me. I thought that was
In
really
terms
cool.
of the 3D
I
aspects.
thought all three of the starters were amazing. I did choose Trico, though, because I'm usually a grass guy.
It's not really
Yeah, I don't
3D
know. A lot of the
graphics.
Pokemon just...
It's just Titan
I don't know,
2D,
they were like just so cool and so
but with a
natural to
3D
me.
element, of
I really
course.
enjoyed just about every aspect of the game, honestly. And the fact that you could just run was really nice.
It sounds like you have like a very, I don't know, tie-in or very relational aspect to the grass-type Pokemon, because you chose Bulbasaur, you chose Trico. Is grass-type kind of something that you resonate with, or is it kind of your favorite type?
The funny thing, I'd say it's not really my favorite type overall, but I don't know. There's just something about it. I feel like everyone always gravitated toward fire starters. And
Me.
I don't know. I felt maybe grass was maybe more unique. I enjoyed like maybe strategic, slower play that grass types often have.
Oh, he's a
Big stuff
Chikorita
like
lover.
Seed and all that. The long game.
I was going to say it probably ties into your contrarian side. It's like, oh, if you're choosing a fire start, I'm choosing the grass type. I don't care if it's weak, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go catch a Geodude.
Hey, you.
Meta.
Yes, you with the ears. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Love hearing real stories from real trainers? Help As the Pokeball Turns become the best Pokemon interview podcast like no one ever was. By joining our Patreon, you're not just supporting the show, you're helping more fans share their journeys with the world. As a thank you, you'll get a custom Pokemon wristband each month, themed after a featured Pokemon. Head on over to patreon.com/asthepokeballturns and join our community today. Well, as we continue, I want to ask, so what's your favorite Pokemon? Is it Zigzagoon or is it something different?
I'd say Zigzagoon probably is like my favorite. Right beside it though is Groudon. I love.
What about
Groudon. It's such
Giratina?
a cool Pokemon, and honestly, the reason why I bought Pokemon Ruby, I feel like it like kind of saved my love for Pokemon in a way, because like I said, I was kind of getting out of it a little bit, and the fact that I saw Groudon and thought it was so cool kept me right in there, And I've been in and out of Pokemon throughout my life. You go through stages and phases and stuff, but I never disliked Pokemon no matter what. So.
It's always been kind of like that little background character to where someday you'll probably engage with it, and other times you kind of have to put it aside. Probably most of the time it's live. Sometimes, you need a break. Sometimes Pokemon becomes too much for everybody, right? But
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely resonate with you with Groudon. I keep calling it Groudon. I don't know why.
Groudon.
But I love
Groudon.
Groudon. That's actually why I chose Pokemon Ruby as well, because I love the appearance, and it was just something about it being, I guess, red, and the whole idea of it being ground in magma really kind of stuck with me. When I saw Kyogre, I just thought, oh, it's just a fish. But Groudon just was really more
Yeah.
of, I don't know, I just kind of like the design, and it's something that stuck with me for the longest. And even to this day, it's obviously gone down for me a little bit for as far as favorites, but I just love the idea of it bringing
Honestly, Groudon was kind of base in Generation 3. If we were to compare Kyogre and Groudon, Groudon was just a superior design compared to Kyogre. As the Pokeball turns say that Kyogre is just a fish, which is kind of true. He is just a fish. There's no difference, no nothing at all. He's just a fish Pokemon. So I always did gravitate towards Groudon as my go-to legendary until Rayquaza showed up. That's where I kind of lost everything, let's say, in terms of my favorite. But with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, they kind of improved Groudon even more because of it, which was a nice touch in terms of the overall aspects of the story. But yeah, Groudon is a base legendary, especially Primal Groudon. Oh my god, the color scheme of that legendary is mwah!
the sun. It could potentially destroy the world realistically. Like, to me, it felt more realistic if the sun really parches the earth, you know?
Oh yeah, no, it'd be terrifying actually to see a Groudon in real life.
Now, I want to ask, so what did you get a chance to play the remakes? Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire?
You
Yeah,
better
I
said
did.
yes.
I thought they were excellent.
Okay,
overall.
good.
I was going to go to the midnight release at GameStop when it was coming out, and then I guess it hasn't been mentioned yet here, but I work a night shift, and I have for the past 15 years. And I was
Jeez.
like, oh man, I got to go to work. And I was like, I don't have any time off or whatever, so I can't go to that. And then I realized I had like a personal day where like it was like one where I could just call it in, and there's just like nothing held against you. And I was like literally brushing my teeth, getting ready to like leave for work, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got that personal day. So I hit up my friends, and I was like, guys, get your stuff, get ready. I was like, we're going. I was like, I don't have to go to work. So we went and got Pokemon Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and pretty much played it all night. So
I imagine you
Honestly,
going,
same.
hey boss, I got the PokeRS. I'm not going to be able to make it to work today.
Pokemon.
I'm at the Pokemon Center right now, though. I'll give you an update if I can make it tomorrow.
yeah,
Hey boss, I got a Pokemon right
That's kind
now,
of cool, though.
so I can't come
it's
in.
like a last, like 11th hour kind of thing to where, hey, I can actually go and see this. And then I'm sure
Yeah.
your friends probably enjoyed that time. Like, what was that like to kind of be at that midnight release?
It was cool. I don't think I'd ever been to a midnight release of anything before. And
Same,
it wasn't
I
massive
haven't
or
been to
anything.
one
We're in a
at
bit
all.
of a smaller area, I think, as Cleffa mentioned. But yeah, it was cool to like go and get the game like at its very first release and be able to just play it immediately. And like I said, I played it all night, and then of course I'd continue to play it for
Actually, that's kind of a lie. For me, my first memory of a released Pokemon game was after school. Like I was back in secondary school back then, and Pokemon Black and White came out on that day, and of course none of us could like call in sick at school, and none of us could just pick up the game because the game store, which was named Game back then, we just couldn't like go into it before school because our school started at, I think it was at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something like that. So me and my mates, I think there was like 3 or 4 of us, we queued up in game and we just got the Pokemon Black and White. And when we all like played it for the first time, because all of us grabbed our Switch, not our Switch, our Nintendo DS from home to take it into school. Then we just booted up the Pokemon game, Pokemon Black and White, and we saw the starters, and we all were like, "Ugh, what the frick is this design? What the hell is that pig? And what the hell is that fish looking Pokemon? And why is there a snake?" And all of us disliked Generation 5 at first. Then we all warmed up after a while for Generation 5. So that was my childhood memory of waiting like on release day for a Pokemon game. Although it wasn't straight away because I had school, as I said before. But it was the thought that counts that all of us queued up in this game store just to try out Pokemon Black and White on the same release date. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. I just figured out that memory. God damn!
Few years, and the games were amazing. I felt like the things that they changed with it compared to the originals, like they were really nice. For example, the characters, I felt like the characters that already existed, they gave a lot more personality to. The additional characters that they added, I felt were like really nice and natural. You know, they felt like they fit in the game well. The additional content was nice, like the Delta episode. That was pretty cool.
Oh, the Delta episode was rad.
Yeah, I mean, just about everything about it. I can't really find much of a complaint about the games. Some might say it's a 7.8 out of 10, too much water, but I say 10 out of 10 for sure, easy.
Then you get with that HMO3, man.
Yeah.
IGN score 3 out of 10, too much
since you mentioned the
water.
Delta episode, I felt like it was kind of, for me, justification, because I was one of those guys who believed in the myth of Sootopolis City, or not Sootopolis, Mossip City, of the space station, where if you like the rocket hit the 100, you get to go see Jirachi, and I'm like, I wish it was true.
Jirachi?
But then I felt kind of like, I don't know, seen at that point. I'm like, oh my gosh, we actually get to go to space and battle Deoxys. This is perfect.
Oh yeah, I know about the
pretty
Deoxys,
sick.
but not Jirachi.
Well, I want to shift.
I
gears
never
back
encountered
to
one
Spring the
before.
Page, because again, we started in 2015. How did you guys learn along the way to run the page, and what kind of content to put on out there for people to watch or consume? Like, how did that relationship evolve? I guess.
So I actually didn't start doing a whole lot with the page until 2022. Like I said, the page was created back then, and it was kind of vacant for a long time, and then I started to utilize it later, but it happened to be years later. So I started off sort of toward the end of 2022 with getting really into the cards again, and I wanted to create like Pokemon card content, and that's kind of what I started doing. I'd share some things here and there. I wasn't posting a whole lot though, but it was kind of difficult to like make enough Pokemon card content to fill each day. And I realized that pretty quickly. It's also very costly.
It gets a little pricey after a while.
Yeah. So I started diversifying my content sometime last year. I started adding in more things. Like I post like Pokemon art. I post Pokemon memes. I do like interactive posts now. Just fun stuff that people can relate with and stuff that, I feel comfortable, doing within the space. Because not everything in the Pokemon franchise I'm comfortable with like doing content on. For example, like the anime. When I was growing up, we didn't really have the channels that had the anime, so my exposure to it was fairly limited. I got to see like the first movie in theaters. I saw some episodes on like VHS tapes that I had, but I didn't really get to watch through the anime, like a lot of people have.
You talked about you were into the cards. What brought you back into that side of Pokemon? Because I know at first that's how it got started, but it sounds like you took a break and then came back with the cards at that point.
Yeah, so I already had like a Pokemon card collection. It was pretty decent. And then a friend of mine, he actually started working at the local card shop here and slowly got me back into like the cards again, especially because his boss was always trying to sell me Pokemon cards. He knew I was interested in them. So it was a pretty easy sell to me, after I started looking through them.
Okay, that's kind of
like,
base.
yeah, why not, so...
What does your collection consist of? Are you trying to do like master sets? Do you do favorite Pokemon? Like, what do you like to collect Pokemon card-wise?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's master sets.
Oh my gosh, you poor soul. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is a painful process. It's fun and painful. It's a job that never ends for sure.
Honestly, I don't know what master sets
In
are.
a nutshell. I feel like it's just
pretty
nonstop.
much.
Right. Do you have any particular favorite sets that you, I guess, enjoy or hope to complete someday?
I don't know. I don't know that I have a particular favorite set off the top of my head. I don't have many complete, to be honest with you. I am one reverse haul away from completing Obsidian Flames from Scarlet and Violet.
Okay.
It's a Doug Trio that keeps eluding me, and I could just buy it on TCG Player if I want, but I want to find it,
Yeah,
So,
it's something about the hunt that really appeals to a lot of people.
yeah, exactly.
That's how it feel with me, because for me, I decided to try to do a master set of the Gym Heroes and Gym Challenges back in, the classic set. And
Yeah.
it brought so much memories, because I always loved those cards. I just loved the idea behind them. But then I'm to the point to where I'm at the pricier side. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to ever afford this. This is like almost half my rent. So
Yeah.
Oh my
especially
goodness
if you're getting,
me.
like, first
I wouldn't be
edition
able to
stuff
survive that,
and,
Chief.
you start diving into like Shadowless and base set.
I'm not doing
it's surreal.
I'm not doing Shadowless. First edition, I'm tempted. That does appeal to me, but it's just I like the idea of completing that set. That's my kind of, I guess we'll call it Whale Lord. I'm trying to complete that.
That is a whale order.
It's a whale lord of a set. And so, but I kind of see it because it's like I want to see it done. Like I never got a chance to complete a set. I've never done that. That's the one that I have the most nostalgia for back in the day. I love the new cards. I love the designs. It's just I don't have as much of appeal compared to those. So I get it.
Yeah, the nostalgia factor definitely plays into that. I still have a lot of like vintage cards as well. I don't have any complete sets of that yet, and I haven't really started trying to tackle it. If I find one that I'm missing and it's not a horrible price, I might grab it or something. But yeah.
Now, you also started, I don't know if this is maybe around 2022, you started your own Facebook group with the Mr. Zigzagoon, which is the Mr. Zigzagoon Pokemon Station. And what made you kind of want to start that group? Was it because you came back to the page, or was it a different reason?
So that is actually the original group that I was talking about from 2015.
Oh, really?
Hello, Felstinger X.
Yep. So it was originally called Pokemon Station. That was the name that my friend actually gave it.
Pokemon
and then
Station.
Shortly after I started getting back into the page and, doing stuff with it, I decided to convert the group because it just kind of laid vacant for a long time as well. I'd say sometime in like 2017 it really started to die off, and it was partly because I wasn't really contributing much.
Honestly, I don't understand Mr. Zigzagoon. Like, his Facebook group, I don't even know what his Facebook group is. One day it was the Zigzagoon Station, and the next day is something completely random. So I'm completely baffled to his actual Facebook group. Because I don't want to join too many groups. Because, spam and everything. But, yeah, I don't know. I just don't even know anymore. But maybe one of these days I'll probably find out. I think it's still Mrs. Zigzagoon's Pokemon Station, or is it under like a different name or something like that? What's up, buddy? Nothing much, my dude. I'm dying over here due to how hot it is since it's summer. Is baking, although it's raining outside. I mean, it was raining this morning, but yeah, it was so hot still. Like, it was humid. I opened up a chocolate bar that was in my fridge, and it was rock solid. After 5 minutes, you could feel it melting. That's how hot it was. And I cried, of course, because I was looking forward to that solid chocolate bar, but nope. It was somewhat melty, and I was just upset by that. Hopefully you're doing well from your neck of the woods in the USA, my dude. Lol, Mrs. Zigzagoon's Pokemon Station is the only one I'm aware of. I know, right? That's the only group that I know of. But yet, on one of my pages, I had this other random group inviting me. And it was from Mr. Zigzagoon. And I'm like, what the hell is this group? Why is Mr. Raccoon inviting me to this random group? I thought his group was the Raccoon group, not like under a different name. Yeah, it feels like the air is attacking me outside. Look, at least it's not in the UK, where in the UK it's just humid in general. It's like hot air. If I were to go to like America or Spain or even, I don't know, Italy or Jamaica, the air is cool. Cool air, but not like humid, hot air, like in the UK. The UK is like the Avatar stages of one day it's wind, one day it's lava, which is the summer, and one day it's just freezing cold, like the water. And the next day it's just like, I don't know, just humid or something like that. The UK just has a strange natural element to it when it comes to our weathers in general, which is a bit of a pain. Yeah, I get you. Like, it isn't hard to breathe though. I mean, it's not hard to breathe currently because I'm trying to drink water every few hours. As well, I have my tower fan right next to me. But everywhere I just feel so sticky because it's that humid. And when I rest my head on my pillow, you could feel like the sweat on my pillow like it's filled with water, although it's just sweat. And I had to shave my head. I'm a bald guy right now, but yet when I sleep, my pillow is just sweaty, and that just triggers me.
Much to it anymore. A lot of the other admins weren't really doing a whole lot with it either, so it just kind of died off. So I've converted it into Mr. Zigzagoon's Pokemon Station and just kind of repurposed it as kind of a hangout to supplement my page.
How have you noticed a difference from running the page to running the group? Like, what's the different, I guess?
I mean, there's no different elements.
So
it's
a lot of the
same.
content that goes on my page does go to the group as well. I feel like maybe currently the main appeal to being the group is to be able to share your own stuff if you're just a member. So you have a place to like be connected to Mr. Zigzagoon.
Honestly, with the group, I'm guilty as charged. I just don't share none of my posts on my own Facebook group. Although it's nearly like 8k people, I just don't share anything in general to anywhere. Not even my own Facebook group. That's kind of mad. I'm not going to lie. That is just insane. I need to do it, but I always forget to share my posts across my group and other groups, so we could gain some type of attraction. So I see everyone like Sizzle or Unova Black sharing their content on their group because they share the same group. And I'm like, why don't I do that? I don't even do that anymore. And it just always baffles me on why I don't share my stuff to any groups. I share the videos now, but before then I just didn't share anything at all. Which I need to kind of change that up. So my group personally could gain more of an active attraction to it. As well as to make it like more active in general, as well as people could feel that they're closer to me, especially when they post their own stuff. Because on my group, the only thing that's get posted is other pages' posts, as well as like a few other people posting like Hindi Pokemon animes or like anime clips or whatnot from other pages, or like just the watch party of the Pokemon anime or any other anime. And I really wanted to change that and just start sharing my own content on my own group. Again, just to get it active and to give it more attention for like everyone on that group, and just try to change things up. I try not to share more than a couple of my posts a day to groups, and I try to share to different groups, so it's just isn't the same 5 posts everywhere. Yeah, I do get you. But with your posts, you could share the same content. So if you post something like, oh, I love Beedrill, and you share it to my group, you share it to Sylveon's group, you share it to WWE's group, or the Sizzle group, or the even Mr. Raccoon's group, then that's fine. I personally don't see any issues with it, because each of the groups have different members, as well as you could help promote yourself even more in terms of like overall growth. I mean, people do join your page if they do enjoy your content. Although some of our followers follow some of our pages, it does help you get word out from your own page's identity, even if it's just 1 follower or 2 followers. So that's, yeah, so I do get you, you don't want to spam it everywhere. But I mean, you got to, if you want to like overly like grow, especially as a small page. As long as you don't spam it like every 1 hour or something like that, you should be good. If you post like 2 or 3 of your posts in that day, and you just see which ones you like to post and share it everywhere, and hopefully the Facebook gods could bless you. So if you're like a madman that posts 10 times a day on your page, just pick the like, I don't know, top 3 posts and just share it between all the groups. And you could just go from there and passively grow. Or even like videos. You could do any type of videos that you want, Fel Stinger. You could even do like videos of Beedrill being a menace in a Pokemon anime. As well as you could have something with Misty saying that I hate bugs. And you could have a swarm of Beedrills just like using their stingers on Misty. It could be something like that, my dude. Which you could upload like more videos and try and make it your own, like, you know, stuff if you want. It doesn't have to be an everyday thing. It could be like once a week or once a month. You could do something special. I think each group needs more of its own identity. Bit too much cross sharing among all of them. I do agree with that. Like each group, we're basically the same. Like Sylveon's group is somewhat different because you have that like community. I don't know the official label for it anymore because it keeps changing like every year. But the original label was LGBTQ that I could think of. I don't know the rest of the alphabets. With her group, it's like a different identity somewhat because that's the like own like political community for that space compared to all of our groups, which is basically the same. So I really wanted to try and make the Dutality Hangout its own identity by doing my own stuff for it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I need to come up with ideas on what to change for my own group itself, rather than it just being the same like everyone else's. So yeah, I just need to brainstorm it. But I do have like loyal like followers that could join me on whatever page that I do create, or even react to me like on every post or every few posts. But yeah, I just don't know how I should go about it. I hear you. I don't have the energy to post 10 times a day on my own page. I mean, 10 times a day is just an example. You could even do like, I don't know, 5 times a day or even 3 times a day. As long as you're consistent with your posting, you can passively grow. As I mentioned earlier in the stream, when you wasn't here, if you continue to be consistent in terms of your overall posting every day, even if you're posting 2 times a day or even 3 times a day, you never know when Facebook might bless you. One of your posts might just randomly blow up one of these days, and you just wonder to yourself, how the hell is this possible? Well, it's the Facebook gods that's blessing you. And I did give like an example earlier in the stream that my 5k page, like Dutality at the time, it just randomly blew up with 5k reactions like after a single day, and I just didn't understand why or how, but I accepted it because I stayed consistent in terms of my overall posting. So you have to put in the work to see results, basically. So if you continue posting 3 times a day or even less than that, that's good. Then you posting like once every few days or once a week or once a month, and you think to yourself, why am I not growing? Well, I mean, because you're not posting anything to even gain any type of attention on this platform. Like, we all been there. All of us bigger pages, even 10k, 20k, 50k, or even 100 or 200k, we all been there at the start on when it comes to growing and how hard it was to grow. Like for this page, it took me, I think Ash Ketchum was like 11k or 13k like 2 years ago before I revived the page. So the page was somewhat active, somewhat inactive because I kind of suspended the page from 2014. Then I brought it back by 2017 for like a few months. Then I suspended it again. Then I brought it back in the early 2020s. Then I suspended it again. And then 2 years ago, back in 2023, that's when I brought back the page full time. And I jumped from like 11K or 13K to like 20K in like a few months because I stayed consistent with in terms of my posting, and I comment on all my posts, and I was just interactive as well as I do post triggering memes back then, which I do feel guilty of, but it was for the engagement. So I do kind of like the progress of the Ash Ketchum page in terms of the direction where it was going. And last year, back in August time, the page blew up by like 1K followers in a single day. And I was growing rapidly in August time in terms of my overall growth. It was kind of insane. Then Facebook shut the page down, and I kind of lost that momentum in terms of like followers following me. Then I bought the page back, and I got it to like 10K in, I don't know, since March. So that's about 4 months. Although, to be fair, I did do the Switch giveaway, which kind of did help. But it's the thought that counts, and I still count that as a W. And yeah, I'm growing passively ever since then. Although I did lose my previous momentum, but I know for sure that I might get that again when I'm getting like 1K in like a day again, or like even in a week. So yeah, I'm calm with that really. All true and great ideas about Beedrill being a menace. Yeah, you can make ideas from it, my dude. Like a video of it. So you could say that, let's say Ash Ketchum called someone ugly. Then you could have Beedrills start like, poking with their stingers. Then Missy will say, I hate bugs. You can make that as your own content, your own stick, basically. Like a certain character says a dialogue, you could get Beedrills using their stingers and Missy saying that I hate bugs. And you can make that into like 10 seconds or 15 seconds clip. And you could just make that your own like content in general. And you could just go to places with it. Oh my god, I kind of waffled on for like 10 minutes.
In the page,
Sorry, Mr.
wise,
Lacoon.
also be able to like share your cool art that you found, or maybe you pulled a cool card today and you can share that or whatever.
So I want to shift gears real quick, and I want to talk about Clef doing stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
And we had her on the podcast. She shared her story, and now here you are. And I kind of wanted to know, what is it like to kind of have somebody who also does Pokemon stuff? Does
Lady
it kind of overlap, or do y'all kind of bounce ideas off each other sometimes?
Yeah, we definitely bounce some ideas off each other. I feel like we do mostly do our own stuff, but every now and then, like, if one of us is struggling, the other knows it, and kind of, like, try to be supportive and, offer ideas and stuff, so...
I want to see Lady
her,
Cleffa being a cheerleader.
She kind of has to wing it with her posts. She doesn't always have...
I want a cheerleader Cleffa.
And it stresses her out really badly, so... if I can think of something, I'll be like, hey, what if we took a picture with Cleffa doing this or something, or hey, let's take a walk. Maybe we can find
Cleffa needs more clothes.
Pictures, with Cleffa, so
it sounds like
I'm not talking about the admin Cleffa. I'm talking about the figurine Cleffa. The figurine Cleffa needs some clothes. I told Cleffa the admin Cleffa this weeks ago, that Cleffa needs a cowboy hat or something, and as well as like a Zigzagoon figurine, and Zigzagoon is like the horsey, and Cleffa is on top of Zigzagoon, and they're both wearing cowboy hats. I brought that idea to both of them, that why don't you guys customize your figurines into like their own clothing, like mini clothing, and give them more of a style than them just being naked all the time. Like, you see the Cleffa figurine, it's just naked all the time with the same expression, just a smiling expression. If the Cleffa figurine had, I don't know, let's say like a pink dress, it could give her more of like a personality in a way. Especially what Lady Cleffer can do is just make a stream, if she has the time, of Cleffer picking out her clothes. Not the admin, of course, but the figurine. She could just do something like that. But I do like her current content, though, of her taking pictures of like everywhere with Cleffer. But I feel like the Cleffer figurine might need some clothes due to the type of environment she's in. That could be a really good idea. I'm going to pitch that to her afterwards, after the stream. But I want my cowboy Cleffer and my cowboy Zigzagoon. I want them in the same picture with cowboy hats. I want it. I'll pay good money to see that because it's hilarious. Honestly, both of them could do so much with like their own figurines. Especially Lady Cleffer, with how creative she is so far, with her own content. She could, like, for the 2K followers, I told her that she could use all her Cleffer dolls and just make a scene when they're staring at the moonlight. Because in the previous, like, podcast, she mentioned that she has more than one Cleffer figurine. So I gave that idea. How about when you reach 2K, all of the Cleffers are around, and they just stare at the moonlight. And you could take a picture of the moon with the Cleffers just staring at it. Or you could just make it like a short movie. Possibly. I would love that. Seeing a short movie of the Cleffer figurine. It doesn't have to be long. It could be like 1 minute. And she could do that like once a month or once every few months. To elevate her content even more. As well as she could upload more videos on her page, which will help generate more of an engagement. Although her engagement is kind of crazy. Like, any post that she posts up could just blow up. Like 20 reactions, 40 or 50 plus reactions. And I think that she done like a face reveal on her page. And she got over 100 reactions. Over 100 reactions. Which is kind of crazy, to be honest with you. Especially for like a small page as hers, at 1.5k. That's how much people do love her content. And how different she is compared to all of us. That's why I told her, and I told everyone, that Lady Cleffer is a massive threat to all of us. She is a massive threat. Because she can grow with no matter how many numbers that we haven't seen before. Like, once she does blow up officially, where she's earning mad followers, she's a threat to all of us. And she will surpass all of us if she continues with her current speed. She's a threat. And she kind of scares me. But I do wish her the best of luck. Because I do like seeing people succeed. And seeing her overall growth over these past few months have been a blessing in disguise. And it does put into perspective in terms of your mental psyche, as well as you overly thinking that, maybe I should try change things up as well. And then you could just stare at her content and feel kind of wholesome inside. Like when you open up a chocolate fondue and you slice in the middle, you see all the chocolatey gooiness. That's Lady Cleffer's content. Out of all of us, she's the biggest threat of how wholesome she is. LMAO, the moon one would actually be kind of epic. I know, right? It would be dope. Seeing all these Cleffers, right? Just staring at the moon. And she could just make it into a short movie. Even like 1 minute of you seeing all the Cleffers. And she could just do like those Lego movement. I did something like that, back in college. Where you take a picture and you move the figurine just ever so slightly. And you take another picture. And she could do that. Of all the Cleffers dancing around something like a stone. as they're looking at the moonlight. And then she could buy like a second Cleffa, but it would be a Clefairy doll or Clefairy like figurine. And she could remove one of the Cleffas in a circle pile and just put, let's say, Clefairy in that like circle. And then that Clefairy would then turn into a Clefable when they continue dancing. So she could do something like that, really. Which will be kind of dope, creative, as well as she could make it into like a less than a 1 minute clip video. Although it's gonna take, I don't know, half an hour to do so, depending on how fast she is, or even 1 hour. So that would be kind of a dope idea for her to have. Well, I gotta get back to the grindstone. Thank you, Felstinger, for listening and for watching the stream so far. Take care and do enjoy the rest of your day at work. And drink plenty of water. And stay away from Misty. Thank you and take care, buddy.
You're kind of her support system when she's kind of frantically and kind of, I'll say, panicking. You're kind of the one who keeps her grounded in a way.
Yeah, and she's mine too, because while I don't really panic or stress out in the same way, I definitely get frustrated. She's a very calm person, and I am too, until I get frustrated, and then I'm
you
just
too, boss. Thank
I get very irate sometimes. I don't take it out on her, obviously, but I don't know. I just kind of get in a bad headspace, you know. But she definitely helps me a lot whenever, you know, I'm feeling it.
I want to see Darth Vader Zigzagoon.
You know, she supports you on what you're passionate about. And, you know, she even admitted that you're more of a Pokemon fan, or not Pokemon fan. You know more about Pokemon than she does. And I want to know, what does it mean for you to have that kind of support from a partner who may not have as much history or experience with the franchise, but chooses to kind of engage with it because of you, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it's honestly huge, because I hear so many stories of people that, not even just Pokemon, just their hobbies in general, their partner isn't supportive of it, and it's kind of sad to see, especially when it's a hobby that isn't hurting anybody. And
exactly.
You know, I mean, I can understand if you're like dropping thousands of dollars on the cards or something and you're not able to pay your bills, that's one thing, but when someone's healthily engaging in their hobbies and the partner's not supportive, it's sad to see. So
I agree.
To have a partner like her who's not only supportive of it but has also dove into it with me, you know, has been really nice. It's been fun.
And then what I loved about it, she also shared how she helps you at doing vendor events.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, what made you start to want to do those, and how has your experience changed with her by your side, kind of running this small business in a way?
So we only started doing vendor events starting earlier this year. Yeah, there's a guy that I met. He's a local fellow. I met him a couple years ago, actually. I bought a 3D print of his at a festival here in town. We kind of started chatting a little bit and stuff, and we wanted to kind of do some business stuff, but it just didn't really come to fruition at that time. And then late last year, we got in contact again, and we started talking about it again, and started formulating ideas and goals and stuff. And yeah, this year we've been going, you know, more into it. He's got his own LLC and everything for his 3D printing business. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to expand into Pokemon cards because that's a big interest of his. And obviously that's like something that I've specialized in for at least the past few years now. So I've been able to like add that portion to the business and been learning about like 3D printing stuff, which is really cool. I always thought it was really cool. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing a lot of events throughout the year. Our weekends have been pretty busy. Cleffa's been there pretty much the whole time, you know, helping me out whenever it's like not one that I'm not doing with my business partner or whatnot. So
that's great. And what has your experience with Pokemon been like, going to these events and being like a Pokemon vendor? How's it different from you being a fan and just doing the game?
I mean, you react with more people.
It's not too different.
That's part of the
most people that come to me and they're
here.
interested in buying anything Pokemon, whether it be like a 3D
and
print
it does
or
make
cards,
you feel wholesome.
They're usually willing to chat about it a little bit because, you know, they're obviously interested in it, and that helps a lot. I like going to like any social event where I know I can connect to people on something. So
now I wanted to ask, this is my last question just with y'all too. Has there ever been kind of a moment or something when it comes to Pokemon that kind of feels just deeply just you two? Like, this is just y'all's thing?
I guess she mentioned us playing the TCG together.
Yeah.
Like she said, there's not many people around here to play with, unfortunately. So it was, for a long time, just kind of a thing with us. You know, we'd be bored or something in the evening, and I'd be like, hey, you want to play some Pokemon TCG? And she'd say, sure, So we'd sit down at the table and play a few games,
Wholesome.
Oh, that sounds awesome. It's like a date night in a way.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Zigzagoon, I want to finish on this last question. If somebody was to come battle you, 6-on-6, what 6 Pokemon would you choose?
All 6 Zagoons.
Oh, wow. All right, dream Pokemon team.
6 Zagoons.
That's actually kind of tough. I'd say give me Venusaur, Garchomp, Zapdos. Let's go with Rotom Wash. No, change that to Rotom Heat, actually, the fire coverage. That's better.
Okay.
And we will go
Zigzagoon.
with Mimikyu and Snorlax.
Brother, that's a
If they wanna
Zagoon
check out your content, they
disappointed.
want to check out your page. Where can they go? By all means, please plug away.
So, Facebook, Mr. Zigzagoon, just as you would think it's spelled. Of course, I got the group, Mr. Zigzagoon's Pokemon Station. I also have an Instagram, which isn't too active, but I hope to make that more active here in the near future. And I do also have a YouTube channel, which, same deal there, not active so much at the moment, but something I hope to bring back soon. So, also just called Mr. Zigzagoon.
Thank you for listening to As the Pokeball Turns. If this story resonated with you, share the podcast with a fellow trainer, and don't forget to follow us for more voices, more journeys, and more memories. I'm David Hernandez, and remember, your next Pokemon adventure begins here.
Honestly, that was a pretty good podcast. That podcast I listened to, and it's good. It's really good. But yeah, Mrs. Zigzagoon, god damn, Mr. Raccoon! Why didn't you include your favorite Pokemon Raccoon onto your team? That's why it was kind of interesting to hear his backstory, how he was first introduced into Pokemon with the original Red and Blue games on the Game Boy, as well as stopping at Generation. After Generation 2, he kind of stops, and then went back to Generation 3 and saw Groudon, which was kind of interesting, since Groudon was my favorite legendary back then, until Rayquaza came into my life. But yeah, his story, I do kind of mess with his story. I do mess with his story, especially with the mental health aspect of when it comes to content creation or even posting stuff in general. I do mess with that quite a lot, as well as his introduction back in 2017 with his friend and the guy from his school, or it was like a high school guy or an older kid trading him the hacked Mew. That was kind of wholesome, as well as him waiting outside for Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Kind of brought back memories of me back in Generation 5. But yeah, I do mess with this. This is kind of dope, I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, guys, make sure you check in the comments down below and support the official podcast, as well as Mr. Raccoon. So yeah, take care everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye bye!